Hello, this is Samo Guy in Hawaii with a recommended strategy for maximizing our 2021 Winter Hunt score. The hunt is a Borderlands tradition, a community-run scavenger hunt wherein players try to obtain a copy of as many legendary and unique items as possible in a set amount of time. It's also a charity event to raise money for St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. Now, the last hunt was the first week of March. A second 2021 hunt was announced for the first week of December. And if you're serious about getting as many items on the list as possible, I have a very simple but effective, flexible strategy, and that is to prioritize farming hunt items over completing the story or getting the max level. Yes, we have to progress through the story to get to all the enemies that drop all the items. But wherever we are in the story, whatever level we are at, if there are items that we can farm efficiently, meaning quickly and easily, that's what we should be doing. Why? Because this not only gets us the items on the list, it also earns us XP. XP that in turn gives us the opportunity to over level with respect to the regular game content. In normal mode, regular story and side quest enemies in each map exist within a certain level range. At the low end, Pandora enemies max out at around level 11. Gigamon is normally around 13. Rampager is about 19 to 23, etc. At the far end, I believe Tyrene the Destroyer ranges from anywhere from about 37 to a max of 47. Rare spawns are always on level, of course, but that just means more XP, faster leveling, and taking on enemies when we are above their listed level makes farming them faster and easier. Okay, if we rush through the main story to get to max level as soon as possible, we can find ourselves under leveled and struggling with respect to some content, which can actually slow us down. The hunt is not just about speed, it's about efficiency. It's not just about who gets to the finish line first, it's about who gets there with the most toys. And if we're not really trying, and even if we're not really trying to win, doing it this way will maximize our score. How do I know this works? Well, during the last hunt, I finished the story as quickly as possible and got to max level before I began farming in earnest. I grabbed any items that dropped along the way, but I didn't stick around to farm any dedicated sources until I hit 72. And I did okay. I got about 60% of the items. I scored 670 out of a maximum possible 1145 possible points. But then I ran the numbers like I do. I formulated this strategy, and I did 3 more complete runs post-hunt. I broke 900 the first time, 1,000 the second, and got all the items on the last of those runs. This works. Even at game start, this strategy pays off. The 3 Pandora maps we travel before we reach Sanctuary contain these enemies and these hunt items. Only these, however, are part of the main story. The rest are side quests or rare spawns. As mentioned earlier, however, Mouthpiece and the other enemies at the end of Ascension Bluff max out at about level 11. If we farm all of this stuff first, we typically get to between level 13 and 16 by the time we board Sanctuary, which in turn puts us ahead of the content at the start of the Promethean map. Okay, and then we go on from there and do the same thing. This does not mean we always clear a map before moving on. I said we should do this as long as we can farm efficiently. There's that word again, okay? Notice that I do not go after these items in red, and these items here are in the yellow, okay? The red items are mayhem locked. Shiv's items make sense. The devs probably did not want a repeat of the Hornet and BL2. I'm not sure why these others are locked, but that's been my experience. They never drop in normal mode. You got to be on mayhem. I ignore them till endgame. Okay, the Crowleys in yellow are usually problematic for low-level Vault Hunters. On the one hand, they are rare spawns like the Demoscragons and Scrack that always spawn at our own level, great for earning XP. Unlike the Demoscragons and Scrack, however, we can't use a vehicle to soften them up first, and worst of all, we have to fight not one, but 7 of them. They can be a real struggle at low level. In other words, we can't usually farm them efficiently until we level up and get better gear. We may want to leave them and come back later. And once we get to Sanctuary, our farming XP choices expand drastically with 6 DLCs, most of whose content starts out at level 13. We can mix and match our efforts among that content to grab hunt items and level up and stay above the main story content as we go. And in normal mode, before Mayhem, the pool of useful and effective legendary items is much, much larger. Now, eventually, we'll farm all the items we can short of endgame. We'll need to finish the story to access the 2 takedowns and raid boss. But again, in normal mode, most of those are much easier to tackle with a much wider array of gear. Now, we may want to get as much non-Mayhem items before turning on Mayhem, and then farm everything we can at M0 before progressing to items locked at M4, and then M6. Then again, the latest hunt rules still allow moving up and down in Mayhem once we activate it. So we can grab M10 gear by any illegal means and move back down. In any case, once the number of remaining items gets small enough, then the strategy no longer applies. But that's the point. If we follow this strategy of hunt, loot, farming first, story second, we'll acquire 80 to 90% of the list before turning on Mayhem, okay? Before having to get more serious about skill choices and gear. Okay? And that's the video. When an updated item list drops, I will try to do at least one more video, go into more specifics and offer some tips and tools, specifically an updated tracking spreadsheet I use that you may want to use as well. If you like this content, consider liking, commenting, or subscribing. You can also check me out on twitchtv.com/SumoGuy in Hawaii. I stream Borderlands and a bunch of other games. And as always, stay safe, and thanks for watching.